Hello and welcome to the Leathercraft Masterclass, and this tabletop review is going to be about Kevin Lee pricking irons, what I think of them and whether or not I think you should buy them. So a few weeks ago, Kevin contacted me via Instagram DMs and said, have I ever tried his pricking irons? To which I said, no, I haven't. And then he said, would you like to? And I said, of course I would. So full disclosure, Kevin has sent me 2 sets here to try absolutely free of charge, which was very kind of him. But just to let you know, I didn't pay for these myself, okay? So full disclosure there. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen me unbox these live, and first impressions were very good. But I don't like to give my opinions too much on tools and certain things, because sometimes when you get used to a tool and you use it practically on a few different items, you find sometimes that there's some things that you like and some things that you don't like. Now, I'm happy to say that I definitely do like these, and both of these serve a slightly different purpose and they're used in a slightly different way. Now, the first ones that I'm going to do a review on are these ones here. So I'm just going to move these to the side. Now these here are the premium range from Kevin Lee. So this is the top end. So he produces quite a few different types of pricking irons, but these are the top end. So this is called the New Style French Pricking Iron. And this set here is the 2 + 5 + 10 set. So this is a great set if you're looking for something that's a little bit more refined. If you're working and you're making leather goods for profit, or even if you're not and you just want to get something really nice, well finished, polished teeth, and obviously exquisite engineering. But the thing that sets this set apart from many different types of pricking irons is the range of sizes available. And this took me by surprise, because most commonly you've got your 2.7, your 3, your 3.38 and your 3.85. But this, however, comes in 2, 2.5, 2.7, 3, 3.38, 3.85, and 4. So you've got an extra 3 sizes compared to the average size range available from most manufacturers. So that's going to take you from really dainty, detailed stitching on small items all the way up to luggage, bags, briefcases, and things like that, or rustic wallets, whatever you're into. So that's a great size range to work with. So how much does this cost? I know a lot of you will want to know. This is the most expensive range, the New Style French Pricking Iron, and the 2 + 5 + 10 retails for $200. So it's on the upper end, but then again, you are getting what you pay for. The finish on this is superb, and you'll see that in person as well. Now, there are other sizes available. There is the 20 prong. So like this, but double the size. And there's also another set, which is 2 + 4 + 10. So there's 2 sets available, 2 + 5 + 10 and 2 + 4 + 10. Okay, so the middle one is just 1 prong less. I don't really think there's much in it, to be honest with you. I'll probably work quite happily with just these 2. But there we go. The set comes with a medium as well. Now the teeth on these, so if you measure them, if I lift this up, you'll see that they're angled this way, okay? And the angle that they're set to is pretty much an industry standard of 45 degrees. Now, measuring from the very base of the prong all the way to the very tip, we've got 10mm prongs. So they're 10 millimeters long. That doesn't necessarily mean you can hammer through 10 millimeters of leather. Okay, so I would just take that with a pinch of salt. You don't want to use the full length of that, otherwise the holes are going to be really stretched out towards the top. So ideally figure the halfway or just beyond halfway mark for most pricking irons before you really should get into using an awl to finish off the hole. Now measuring these, remember these are 2.7, so both sets that I have to review here are in 2.7 millimeters. And for the 2.7s, the width of the prong at the very end, obviously it gets slightly larger towards the top, at the very end is a measured 1.6 millimeters at the very tip. So overall length of these is 120 millimeters, and at the thickest point at the very top, right here, widthways, we have 8 millimeters. Now the finish on these is, as you would imagine, very, very nicely finished. You've got a mirror polish there, which means it's going to be easier once you hammer through your leather to then pull straight out. So that's the benefit of a mirror polish. Now, some of you like a sharp pricking iron, some of you don't like a sharp pricking iron. If you're the kind of person that does like your pricking irons very sharp, then these are extremely sharp. I could probably cut a piece of leather with that. It catches the nail and then just takes the top of your nail off. It's that sharp. So if you don't like it, just get a piece of sandpaper and pull it back once. At least you have the option that way. You don't have to sharpen these. They are razor blades out of the box. Steel wise, it's not disclosed what steel Kevin Lee uses. If you're that interested in what he uses, then you can obviously contact him, and I'll give you details below of how to do that. But the edges of everything are hand finished, hand done, hand polished, and you can see the work there. It's beautifully done on the edges, perfectly chamfered all the way around. All in all, even though it's a higher price point, it's definitely worth the price. If you're looking for something a little bit special, you want to treat yourself, or you want to take your work to the next level and you want to have the tools to match, then these are definitely recommended. So putting these to the side for the meantime, and I'm going to bring in these. Now these are camouflaged a little bit, so I'll put them on my little note sheet here, and you can see that they are finished with a black finish. Now I'm not sure what these are. It doesn't say on the website. There might be PVD, it might be like a gun blue finish like you would do on a gun barrel, probably a chemical finish on there, but the prongs are polished, as you can see, and the rest of it is in pure black. Now the finishing on the French style pricking irons is very slightly better, not by a long shot, and it's not going to make any difference to the outcome, but the edges are a little bit sharper than they are on the new style French pricking irons. So this is the mid-range of Kevin Lee irons, and these are known as the black diamond irons. Now this 2+10 set, so we don't have a medium in here, it's just 2+10, is $110. So even though it's missing the medium, even if it had the medium, it wouldn't be as expensive as the new style French irons. So this is a mid-range for Kevin Lee. Other sizes available in the black diamond iron is 1, so a single tooth, 2, so you can buy it individually if you want to, and 15, which is quite a good size, to be honest with you. I would probably recommend, if you don't want the 2+10, a 2+15 and buy them individually. That would actually make a great set. Now it's important to note that if I bring back our new style French iron into play, you have, as is pretty standard in the industry, a flat end to your pricking iron. So it's like a chisel tip, okay? So it's flat at the front, 90 degrees from the side, or near enough. It's different on these ones. On the black diamond irons, they're known as a Japanese style. Now, although on the website it does say that these are diamond shaped, they are in fact flat on each side of the prong. So unlike a stitching chisel, as they're commonly known, which is usually a cheaper style of iron, which has a pronounced diamond shape to it, and I'll show you a picture in the corner of the screen, these are flat on each side. So these have the characteristics of a normal pricking iron, okay, like this one, which is called French style, French or English, but these are tapered towards the end. So they have kind of the benefit of both. And these are definitely meant to be used without an awl. It doesn't mean you can't use an awl. Of course you can, because it's awl shaped. You can just continue it. But these are designed primarily for use on projects that don't require an awl. So ideally something that's not too thick. And with that in mind, even though these are the same size, this is a 10mm prong. This is an 8mm prong. So they're slightly shorter. Now, if you're impressed by the size range of the new style French pricking irons, let me just read out the size range for these pricking irons. So, so we start off with a minuscule 1.93 millimeter, 2.25 millimeter, 2.45 millimeter, 2.7 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 3.38 millimeter, 3.85 millimeter, 4 millimeter, and 5 millimeter. Okay, so you're going all the way from ridiculous to ridiculous. So you have something for each of the extremes. That is an extreme range of sizes. 1.93, I'd love to see that on a beautifully stitched alligator or crocodile watch strap stitched with silk or something like that, because that would be very, very traditional. I believe that's the biggest size range I've ever seen in any pricking iron outside of vintage irons that are no longer made. So I think Blanchard probably would, but definitely not anywhere near these prices, as you can imagine. Now, one thing to note, one of the main differences that you'll have to remember with these pricking irons is because this is flat on the end, when I penetrate through the leather and I go all the way through, as soon as I break through the other side, the slit is open to the full width of the end. In this case, that happens to be 1.6 millimeters. So if I hit a hard surface, like this acetal, okay, so very, very hard plastic here, as soon as I hit that, it's open to full width, pretty much full width. These, however, when I penetrate all the way through, only the point hits this, okay? And if it's very hard, it won't go through anymore. So it doesn't open up the rear side as much unless you're using a soft board underneath, such as grey board, like a thick cardboard. You can use MDF, you can use hard rubbers, softer plastics, or you can even use a sheet of leather itself. So just a sheet of vegetable tan leather, so that you can go past the point until it opens wider, and that way you can get the wider slits on the other side. So that's one of the main differences, and that sometimes can affect the angle that you get on the rear side if you've only just poked through with the very point of these style irons. Okay, so remember, it tapers to a point like a sword, whereas this is like a chisel. As soon as that penetrates all the way through, it's open. When this just pokes on the other side, we have a very, very small hole. And that's two things. You can lose the angle, especially in the larger sizes, I would imagine. But the second thing is to remember is because you've only just opened it up on the rear side, it makes it more difficult to get needles through. So you might need to have a softer sheet underneath so that you can actually go through enough to open up the rear side properly. Now, there is another set of pricking irons that Kevin Lee produces, which is much cheaper. So it's a budget end. I'm not familiar with the prices, but they're something in the range of $20 to $30 for the set. So it's very, very cheap, but that doesn't mean they're bad. But the great thing about Kevin Lee's irons is you have from the premium range, which are obviously going to cost you a premium amount, mid-level, and also a much cheaper budget-friendly range. So one of the great things about Kevin Lee's, he's got a great range for budget, reverse pricking iron options, an extreme range of sizes, and in my belief, value for money at any price range, whether you get the more expensive ones or the cheaper ones, each of them is great value for money. So let's have a little comparison, a little stitch on here with the black diamond irons and the new style French irons. I'm going to be stitching with a black diamond. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to do it and then I'll let you guess. Okay, so here we are, just a quick stitch to compare the results from each of these pricking irons. So one of these seams is from this black diamond pricking iron, and the other seam is from this, the new style French iron. So take a second to see if you can guess which is which. So this is the face side, and this is the rear side. So penetrating all the way through with these irons, making sure that I went through to the rear side, made sure that I had a little bit of an angle on the rear because I'm casting my stitches here. So nice angles on the face side, and reasonable angles on the rear side. Now, which is which? They look very similar, to be honest with you. The top one is the black diamond iron, and the bottom one is the new style French iron. Slightly longer stitch on the French style, so the amount of exposed thread for each stitch is slightly longer on the French style, and it makes the black diamond stitch by comparison look a little bit smaller. So that looks like not a size up, but very fractionally larger, but the angle is about the same, which is impressive. Now, we know this is 45 degrees. It doesn't actually mention on Kevin Lee's website the angle of the prongs on the black diamond. I did measure this one before checking on the website, and I came up with 45 degrees, and I had that confirmed on the website. I measured this one and it was 50 degrees, but it doesn't mention it on the website. So I've measured this at 50 degrees. So these have not been flattened down, so let's move this out of the way. And we're gonna tap about halfway. So you can see if that makes a difference. And yeah, it looks maybe very slightly a smaller stitch, even though the spacing is exactly the same. Just the way the iron works. To be honest, if I had to say, I prefer the look of the new style French iron, this one here at the bottom, but not by much, really not by much. So let's finish off that. So if I had to choose between these two, I'd probably go the new style French iron versus the black diamond. But I will say this, there is the added benefit of being able to just place it in the line that you've marked with your wing dividers. It definitely speeds things up, and I find that for beginners it's always best to have the longest pricking iron possible, and this by comparison is quite long, as you can see, because the longer it is, the easier it will be for you to see if your pricking iron is very slightly off by half a degree. So the shorter the iron, the less kind of visual feedback you're going to get. But when it's a long iron, even if it's just very slightly off, you can see it a little bit easier. So if you're a beginner and you're noticing that when you're stitching on the rear side, that your stitches are going, there's 8 stitches here, and then it skips up more, and then 8 stitches there, and they're kind of all over the place, then a longer iron is definitely recommended. I think this would be absolutely dynamite for watch straps. I think that's what, in my mind, that's what this is purpose built for. And you can get very, very accurate following the line set by your wing dividers in your watch straps, because you're getting very, very close to the edge. And they're not too thick, these prongs, either. And because they come in such small sizes as well, all the way up to 4 millimeters, but it comes in very, very small sizes, 2, 2.5. So I think this will be great for watch straps. These great for watch straps, but also for wallets as well, which these will work for, obviously. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more polish, a little bit more finish, and something just a little bit more premium than the new French style. If you're looking for something as a beginner, you're keen on making watch straps, and you'd rather not use an awl, then definitely the black diamond pricking irons, or the black diamond irons as they're known. They're not really meant for pricking, they're meant for penetrating all the way through. So thank you for watching, and if you are interested in learning more about hand stitching, check out the link below, leathercraftmasterclass.com, where we have courses such as the techniques of hand stitching, which go through the beginner stages into the advanced stages of hand stitching and how to get the results that you're looking for. And right now on the website, at the time of filming, there is a free course teaching you how to select the finest leathers and skins from around the world without even having to buy them first, taking them through a series of tests that you can do yourself to find the best leathers for you and your projects. But right now there's also a bonus pack with a 20-page tool buyer's guide, which will give you information on not just pricking irons, but all the different kinds of tools that you need depending on whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So it's a tier system, and when you've identified where you are in your craft, you know what kind of tools you need as a bare minimum to help you to achieve the results you're looking for. So click the link below, get the free guide teaching you how to select leathers, and also the tool buyer's guide, absolutely free, teaching you exactly what you need, but also what you don't need, so it can end up helping you to save money. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.